This is the video. This is the video where we get everything we've been putting into this 200,000 mile truck all put back together on wheels, fire it up, take it for a test drive, and see if all the DIY shade tree mechanic stuff we've done in our little parking lot here is actually gonna hold together. Am I nervous? Oh yeah. Do we have a lot of work to do? Absolutely. I'm not even gonna catch you up if you haven't been here before. I'm just gonna let you know down in the description, there's a playlist. I put all these videos in a playlist from when we started working on this a few weeks ago, problem solving what was a heavy tick turned into a grind, some other work we did while the truck was down. And then in today's video, I think you're just gonna kind of figure out everything that's going on, and we're gonna get this rig running. Or it's gonna go join the space program. I don't know, something's gonna happen either way. Now in the previous video, I said I was going to replace the knock sensors while we're in here. The knock sensors sit down inside those little holes you're looking at on the valley cover. I said, well, they're not too expensive. We might as well replace them while we're in there. But then I looked it up, and to get a decent knock sensor, not a cheap one, but a decent knock sensor that I would feel comfortable burying underneath everything there, we're looking at about 80 bucks, anywhere from 60 to 80 bucks a pop. There's two of them. I thought, why replace when we can test? So that's what we did. We looked up the resistance. Should see anywhere from 93 to 100 on the screen. We're set at 200,000. So we're right at 100 on this one. Right at 100 on that one. Almost check out good. There's another test we can do to make sure they're actually doing what they're supposed to do. The whole point of a knock sensor, if I understand this correctly, keep in mind this is not a how-to channel, just a fellow that's read some books and some diagrams and some manuals from time to time. The whole point of a knock sensor is if it detects a knock or a heavy detonation in the engine that is abnormal based on the way they have these set up and spec'd, it's supposed to either derate the engine or shut it off so it doesn't tear itself up. That's my limited understanding of a knock sensor. Got 22 mil. I'm just gonna go finger tight for now. We'll get the other one in place as well. And I found 15 foot-pounds, but okay. According to some forums, these are notorious for letting water get down in there. So everybody recommends putting some RTV on these little caps that are gonna go on there. I sprayed some brake clean on there. Clean it off any residue. Before we put the harness in, I'm just gonna do a simple continuity check and make sure that we don't have any breaks or anything going on with the harness itself. Because apparently there can be problems with that as well. So we should hear a tone on one of these. So that one's good. That one's good. Now that doesn't mean they're not going to break in 17 miles, but as of right now, they both are good. There are two wires. Common sense is going to tell you that the longer wire goes to the front sensor. You just push down on. I'm going to put it on the valley cover itself. I'm not going to be shy about it. Give her the old smear. Oh yeah. Right there on the back side of the engine, I'll show you. This little plug for the coolant. I recommend replacing that gasket anytime you take that off. It goes right back there. I had to take that off so I could get that head bolt torqued down right and get a socket in there. There we go. If you told me where this went, I have no idea. Let's tuck it up out here at the back for now. Okay, if you guys can just lift that wiring harness up for me, that would be great. Thank you, appreciate that. You guys are always where I need you. Oh, I just fell off the front of the truck. So the intake's sitting on there, and they're just hand tight right now. I haven't gone through and torqued anything down yet. Before I torque that down, I want to make sure I get this replacement part underneath. This is the coolant crossover line. Here's the one that came off there. A little rust doesn't scare me, but when the rust starts flaking off the line, well, then we're starting to work through that line a little bit. So that gives me a little cause for concern. Just seemed like a good time to get in there and change it. So I got a replacement crossover tube, came with the new hose as well. So now that we know we got clearance for that, and that's good, we'll go ahead and do the intake. There is in fact a specific sequence for the intake bolts, and it says 2 passes. Intake manifold, step 1, 44 inch-pounds, step 2, 89. So I've got my map drawn up. I left the Sharpie at the house, had to use a pencil. And then a check box, so I can check off each step as we go. 44 inch-pounds on the first, 89 inch-pounds on the second. So we've got everything crossed off, so we know we got 2 passes with the correct torque spec. I do push rods. I'm going to shoot some more oil down these holes. I don't know what's technically the right thing to do, but I just feel like the more lube, the better. I've got my passenger side push rods over here. They all checked out fine. I've got them in a specific order, starting from the front. The book recommends putting a little assembly lube on the tip. I'm just going to go around the edge. I don't know if it matters if you block the hole. I'm sure it would work its way through, but that's how I'm doing it. And then we'll just start putting them in place. Push rods are in both sides. Did the same step on both sides. I've got these rails that go in next. The rockers sit on these. Rockers going back in same way they came out, or same order they came out. A little assembly grease on the tops here. I'm just going to hand snug each one down. So I've got the rockers installed loosely, not even snug down. I just ran the bolt down until it made contact with the rocker. Didn't snug anything, didn't do anything tight. The book says the next step is we're going to pull the spark plug in hole number 1, because we're going to get top dead center on the compression stroke on cylinder number 1. And then there are certain rockers we can go ahead and torque down. Then we rotate the whole thing 360 degrees, and then we get the rest of the rockers. It's got the list of all the ones that we need to do. So I'm looking for top dead center. There's lots of ways to do this. You could put something in there that's not going to scratch the top of the piston or the cylinder wall, and that fits somewhat loose, and you can rotate it and watch as it pushes it out of the spark plug hole. Right now the whole bottom end's off this thing. I could lay underneath and turn it that way and probably judge it by that pretty daggone good as well. But I'm just using my camera. I just have this little Vevry camera that I bought off Amazon for fairly inexpensive. It does a decent job. I got it shoved in the spark plug hole, and we'll just keep rotating this thing around until the piston comes to a stop, and then it'll start reversing and obviously going back down. So we get right to the top, and that's gonna be top dead center for me. One complaint about the action cameras is up close focus is not super good, but with number 1 piston at top dead center, tighten the intake valve rocker arms for number 1, 3, 4, and 5, and the exhaust rocker arms for 1, 2, 7, and 8. And once we do that, we rotate the crankshaft 360, and we do the intake for the remaining, which is 2, 6, 7, 8, and the exhaust for the remaining 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to write that out on a piece of paper so I can cross it off as I do it. Yeah. Odds on one side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So exhaust and intake on number 1, 22 foot-pounds. Okay, so I got all my first round done, and I'm left with all 2s, which is what I wrote down for the second evolution. So I'm gonna put a mark on this, which there should be a timing mark somewhere on this thing anyway, but I'm gonna put a mark on this, and then that way I can accurately rotate that crank 360, and we'll do sequence number 2. Looking for my mark to come around. There it's coming, right there. A little further. So the valves should be good then. I went around afterwards just by hand, not on the torque wrench or ratchet, just made sure I had no loose bolts, because if I still had a loose bolt and I could turn it by hand, that meant I missed one. It would be pretty easy to get something mixed up if you're kind of in a hurry, but I was trying to take my time, double check everything should be good there, so we should be ready for valve covers. That gasket kit I have came with new valve cover, the old valve cover gaskets, and this one has, this is an interesting scenario, telling a little bit of a story here. This has 2 different brand valve cover gaskets in it. Also came with new valve cover bolt grommets or seals, replaces that. So we'll take all these old ones off, clean this up, and then I'm gonna get these valve covers cleaned up a little bit as well. We're gonna address the comment section a little bit today too, because I've never done anything like I did in the previous video, and I knew there'd be some people saying that I did it wrong, but I just did it by the book. So if one guy just said in the comments, do not use an old camshaft with new lifters. And I had that same concern, but according to this repair manual, used roller lifters cannot be reinstalled with a new camshaft. So if I put a new cam in, I could not put old lifters in. The original camshaft can be used if new lifters are installed. So new lifters can be used with the original cam. So we are good. The new lifters can be used with the old camshaft. But if I put a new cam in, I would have to get new lifters to go with it as well. That's the way this manual reads. So as far as asking someone that knows before you do it, I did. I just referred to the manual. The real question is, what things am I messing up here because I forgot to route something somewhere before I got something bolted in? That's always a good question, because there's a good chance I'm burying something that I'm supposed to do. The manual I have shows 106 inch-pounds. I'm just going to snug them a little bit, and then we'll run inside out. Both valve covers are on and torqued. I'm going to go ahead and start making some of these connections back. So each one of these should have a little rubber grommet in there, and I was nervous because it's not in this one, but it's actually on the fitting back there. But I just want to make sure those all have that little seal. I'm going to go ahead and run the exhaust gaskets next. They are labeled manifold side down. I got these handy little hooks on the end. I've done the gaskets on this truck before, and what I did is I put a bolt in each end, and I literally just, well, this would be manifold side, just let it hang on those bolts, and I got the other bolts started. So we're gonna do the same thing today. So I had problems with these bolts backing out on me. You can see I tried red Loctite. No, just kidding, that's blue Loctite. Anyway, I did some research, and everything I found and what I've done in the past is I just use copper gasket maker instead of thread locker, even red Loctite. And I guess it has everything to do with the temperature at which that stuff is rated for. So this is what I did last time I did my exhaust gaskets, and it worked. I didn't have any bolts back out on me, and I had 0 problems, and it fixed my exhaust leak issues. So I'm hoping this does the same thing. Round 2, this is tried and true for me. Tried and it worked, that's what I'm trying to tell you. There it goes. All right, so we got a couple started. I think this is the dipstick bolt, but I'm not sure. Then we're going to slide this out on those bolts. Make sure we have the correct orientation. And slide this in. that. And it holds it where it needs to go. Slide it back in, get the rest of the bolts started, and we can run the sequence. So this actually has a two-step torque sequence in the book as well. 131 inch-pounds, center to outside, round 1. And I don't know if this is technically the center since it's part of the manifold's two-piece, but could be wrong about that. And then 18 pounds. 18 foot-pounds, I should say. Where can I go? Dear. That's good. I'm gonna put my coil packs on next. Right. All these bolts are the double studded like that. Book calls for 106 inch-pounds on these. I go ahead and plug this in. Just have to work around it, but it won't be a big deal. Clicks in there, and it's got this little bitty plastic keeper. That clicks in right like that. I labeled these, took them out, so I'm just putting them back where they came from. Okay. What up? How's it going? So in case you missed the previous video, the whole tick and grind that I thought was coming from the oil pan, based when I put the old tube or hose in the ear trick and I was putting it on the oil pan, well, I was kind of right. It was a flywheel bolt, flex plate bolt. Somebody's going to argue the difference. Torque converter to drive plate bolt. I don't know what you want to call it. Makes me no difference. This bolt right here had come loose, and as she was coming around, she was smacking the heck out of it. And you can see it's ground down. Now I have done these before, and one thing I have learned in the past is it's crucial to put some thread locker on these bolts. Now, these are also known for cracking and breaking. I've rotated all the way around. I see no signs of any cracks or breaks. My suspicion is I also see no sign of thread locker on the bolts they used. So I think they ran the old bolts in. The reason I say ran the old bolts in is because new bolts typically come with thread locker already on them. I think they ran the old ones in, no thread locker, and it just worked itself out. We're going to replace all of them. Why wouldn't you? It's right here. It's accessible. If one of them is missing a thread locker, there's a good chance they all are. I don't want to be here again in the future. So we've got the torque spec out of the manual. I'm just going to run these in a loop and get them going here. Okay. There's the old oil pan gasket. It had a tear in it. So it's good that we're getting in there and getting that fixed too while we're here. All right. We're gonna take some time and get this cleaned up just a little bit too. right. Okay, it's ready to go on. We're gonna need an oil pan gasket. Go just like that. So the oil pan also has a specific tightening sequence, and not only does it have a specific tightening sequence, but the rear of the oil pan is something, according to the book, we've got to really pay attention to. It says measure between the rear face of the pan and the front face of the transmission bell housing with feeler gauges. Clearance should ideally be flush, but a gap of up to 0.01 is acceptable. I cannot remember 100% if the pickup tube went in first or after, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Looks like the pickup tube goes in after. And then we can see by the staining on this cover to leave certain nuts off here that look like they hold up the pickup tube. These are interference style nuts, meaning that they're just, I would just compare it to like clamped clothes. I don't know. It's like professional cross threading. I don't know, whatever you want to describe it. I think it needs a lot. Even though there's 2 threaded holes on that pickup tube, only one of them gets a bolt. Where'd my flashlight go? I really want to make sure that O-ring seat's right. So right here, where I'm at, this corner, where the block meets the cover on the front, this corner, same thing on the back corner. The book says to put a little bit of RTV to help seal up that gap. I'll show you a little closer in just a second. So there's a little gap right here on these corners where the block attaches to these covers. So the book calls for some RTV right there, which there's a gasket that comes down from that cover, but there's still a little bit of a potential for leak. Residue. I'm going to cross and then we'll put some right where the gap itself is. Nice thing about having a face for radio is you don't feel bad about using it as a jack stand. Where are we? What is going on? Oh, the block. Okay. Now, that's what I did. We got these 2 right there on the back side. Based on what I read in the book, if you work on these and you're 1000% sure that what I'm saying is wrong, then say something in the comments so somebody else doing this knows. But I'm just gonna snug them, gently snug them with a socket so it pulls it up against there. Then we'll run the torque sequence up here like we're supposed to. I think I'm understanding that correctly. Okay, I'm going to map the torque sequence out on a piece of paper and we'll run that real quick. I got my torque sequence all written down. My Sharpie so I can mark stuff off as we go. And keep track of things. Put it right over here next to you guys. Next is those 2 long ones in the back that are a little bit smaller. And 106 inch-pounds on these little felders. So we ran these 2 up here. The torque sequence, the pan to the block, 18 pounds. The 2 small ones, smaller diameter, but 2 long ones back here, 106 inch-pounds.
And then the last step, if I'm reading it correctly, I would 1000% triple check what I'm saying if you're doing this, is 37 foot-pounds from bell housing, which seems high because that's aluminum, but I also feel like it is part of the structure. So there's a harness right here. Make sure we get that plugged in. This was bolted to the side of the pan, as this was bolted up here somewhere as well. We've already cleaned those surfaces. We're just going to try to slip that gasket up there. Get it to like this. There we go. That's it. With all of that connected, should have enough done to go ahead and put some oil in. Next thing I need to do right over here, we're going to work you in right there. Right there. You see where that plug's at? Right here. That goes to a temperature coolant sensor. Right there. You can tell I broke the daggone harness off whenever I was taking the exhaust manifold off, I guess. But anyway, we're going to replace that real quick before we top it off with coolant. I know you can't see me, but I'm just checking they're the same length. And everything looks good on them as far as being compatible, and they look great. The new one's already got thread sealing on it. Just gonna run her in. I couldn't find a torque spec. Everything I found just says run it till she's tight. That's what we'll do. How long you been looking for where you put this, Mike? Huh? How long you been looking for that piece? Oh, longer than I'd like to admit. Anyway, goes right there. Let's see. There we go. Because we got them off, I went ahead and picked up a new belt. The belt that was on there didn't look great. Had cracks in it. And way down low, shove you down in there. This truck actually has two belts. We got that belt as well. Looks like there's a tensioner right there that we can stick a socket in. But we'll get her close and then we'll walk it on. I can't quite get enough out of the tensioner to get it to slide on nice, but a third hand would be pretty handy right now. Are we on? We're dang close, okay. Oops. Here's the old belt that came off of it. Oh, I'd say she was due for a change. Not saying that's the best way, but holding the tensioner with the hammer allowed me to roll the engine and walk this on. I just gotta do a few evolutions here. Revolutions, evolutions, who really knows? This little bracket goes right here. Help support these hoses. Maybe jumping the gun a little bit on this, but all right, let's throw some of this in. This is when, if you haven't gotten all the coolant lines connected, you're gonna get reminded. My coolant crossover tube is leaking. This is part of the process. I can't remember if I torqued this or not. That would be left. We're gonna go right. Oh. It was not tightened down all the way, so let me... These O-rings were in there, and I took them out because I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you have an O-ring stacked on top of a gasket? Well, I'm suspicious that I'm an idiot, so maybe I can do like a magic hole plug maneuver here real quick. Yep. So I can tell you, just without torquing it down, it's already stopped leaking it. So with the proper torque, That should solve that problem. Let's dry her off. It's dry. She's dry. We're getting pretty close to turn the key and see what lets loose on this thing. The hope is I could get enough progress done that we could get it all the way back together and haul some junk off. See, Mama needs a new dishwasher, and I got a savings account in a pile over there in the woods. I just need a good way to get it to the scrapyard, and this was going to be that. I don't think we're going to get that far, but we are getting ready to turn the key. Speaking of junk removal, hell, I got a story for you. Let's just hypothetically say your old junk hauler just isn't quite working the way you need it to be working, or you just have a whole bunch of junk. I want to shout out something real quick. My nephew, he just started a junk removal business. He's like 16 years old, still in high school, just got his license, got himself a pickup truck. If it's too big for that, he rented a U-Haul the other day and he's trying to save up for a dump trailer. Anyway, I just think it's awesome. The young man's out there being ambitious, trying to create a business and make a little bit of cash. I think that's pretty cool. So I just want to shout it out real quick. If you live in the Brownsburg, Indianapolis, Avon, Danville, Zionsville, Pittsboro, is that where the Steelers are at? If you live in any of those places in Indiana, I'll put the thing up on the screen. I'll put the thing down in the description, and he's got a Facebook page as well. All you gotta do is text him. Just text junk and take a picture of what you want removed. He'll give you a quote or an estimate, whatever you want to call it, and then he'll get it taken care of for you. I just think it's cool, and I wanted to shout it out because there's not a lot of ambition left in the world, and I think it's great when a young man is being ambitious, trying to create his own business. So if you live in those areas and need junk hauled, text that number, and he'll get you taken care of. Also, if you're in a position where someone is younger and they're trying to start out and kind of gain some traction and get on their feet with a business, or even if they're older and they're starting out and they clearly, maybe they don't know what they're doing, or there's a little bit of misunderstanding of what they're supposed to be doing, and you're in a position where you can help guide them to better what they're doing, you should do that. You should not do this hypothetical scenario. I'm not saying it happened. I don't know if it did. I don't know if this is hypothetically a guy that works for the town of Brownsburg. I don't even know if the town of Brownsburg is a thing. I don't even know if they have a Facebook page with a message section where you can address concerns about the professionalism of town employees with people that are being entrepreneurs in their town. I don't even know if that's a thing. That's all hypothetical. But if you ever are in that situation, you should take the high road. Don't do that hypothetical thing. Certainly don't go to that Facebook page. Certainly wouldn't do that. It's all hypothetical. Also, and I can't emphasize enough because sometimes people are weird like we're learning, don't text them just to be creepy. You know what I mean? If you got business in the area and you got some junk that needs removed, give them a holler. But don't text them just to be like, I'll watch your uncle's YouTube videos. That's cool, man. He doesn't care. This is the part that makes me the most nervous right now. I just want to go home. We've said it before, it's so many repairs. We fixed it, it works, we know it works. Why do we need to start and check it, you know what I mean? Let's just go, it's good to go. No, all the engine rebuilds up to this point have just been for fun. This it has to work. Tell you what, let's soft start it, you know what I mean? Let me pull the fuel relay and we'll just give her a few cranks and let her crank over a little bit. Maybe build some oil pressure. Then we'll put the fuel relay in, then we'll let it start. You know, let's do that. We'll circulate some engine oil. Finally getting oil pressure. And we're gonna put this back in. Just pay attention to how it went in there, Mike. No. No, I didn't. Pressure is, we're sitting at 40. I'm guessing the sensor on this truck is either pressure or no pressure, but either way, it's showing something, so that's good. Let's peek in down here. So there's that wet spot right there, but that's from when that coolant leak was earlier. The smoke doesn't bother me. There's gonna be stuff burnt off there, especially since we've been kind of cleaning stuff. I'm not worried about that. I'm looking for anything shooting out that gasket. It's an absolute blatant leak of some sort. All the oil and everything we were cleaning in there, that's all burned itself out right now. No leak. No leak there. Can't quite see the one in the back. Fuel lines aren't leaking. She sounds okay. I don't hear anything wild or crazy. Speaking of wild and crazy, look at that. There's probably a cure for a disease in there somewhere. Got a drip, put a drip lid down there, right? So it'll show me if there's any new or developing drips. She doesn't sound bad. I mean, there's no, I don't hear an exhaust tick. I don't hear an engine tick. Everything sounds okay. Everything looks okay. Now we would have to do a pretty disastrous job or pretty terrible job for that head gasket to fail right out the rip. Like we completely miss a bolt or something. And I'll still be skeptical of this thing for a few thousand miles. Probably till after the first service when I get my eyes on the bottom side again, but I'm not mad about where we're at. Maybe the backhoe on the video, maybe putting a water line in for a fella down the road, one of the neighbors that we did some work for before. He's got something he needs done. Or maybe even the YouTube yacht. The fella just doesn't know, but it'll be something while we wait for the parts to get this thing finished up. If it's your first Captain Kleeman video, you're coming in at a pretty exciting time. There will be a playlist of everything we've done to this truck. I'm creating it before this video launches. So if you want to see from the beginning, if you missed some of those, hit that playlist. You can watch them all the way through. If you've been with us for a while, I can't thank you enough, man. Your guys' support, I'm telling you, there's several times on this job where it's like, I don't know, 20 bucks, you know, highest bidder, lowest bidder. I don't care, take the thing, get it out of my way. But you guys help push me through, no doubt about it. I hope you like the channel. I hope you subscribe. I hope you get some junk hauled off if you need it, if you live in the areas in Indiana that I mentioned earlier. And I hope you are enjoying this channel because I'm certainly enjoying the journey. All right, we'll see you later.